Yoshi Shiratori, Japan's Houdini. Yoshi Shiratori is remembered as the man who simply refused to stay behind bars. Between 1936 and 1948, he escaped 4 different Japanese prisons, each time using incredible creativity. His escapes included picking locks with metal wires, slipping through ceiling vents, and even rusting his own handcuffs and window bars using miso soup. After his 3rd escape, he was sentenced to death, but even that didn't stop him. In 1947, he dug a tunnel with makeshift tools and escaped again. Shiratori ultimately served 26 years before being released in 1961. In Japan today, he isn't just a criminal, he's a folk legend. John Dillinger, the Depression-era escape artist. Bank robber John Dillinger was America's most wanted criminal in the 1930s, but he was also a master escape artist. His gang broke him out of jail once by smuggling guns inside the prison. But his most famous escape came in 1934, when he crafted a fake wooden pistol, painted it black, and used it to bluff his way past guards. Dillinger locked 17 guards in a cell, stole a sheriff's car, and drove away from what newspapers had called an escape-proof jail. His boldness turned him into a legend, and one of the few criminals who humiliated U.S. law enforcement twice. Alfred George Hines, the man who sued his way out. British thief Alfred Hines escaped 3 high-security prisons despite not being a violent criminal. His first escape in 1958 involved slipping through multiple locked doors and scaling a 20-foot wall. When recaptured, he sued the prison for illegal detention, which allowed him to be escorted to court, where he escaped again by locking guards in a bathroom. Hines fled Europe for months before being caught. Even after that, he escaped a 3rd time from Chelmsford Prison and hid in Ireland for 2 years. He later became a public speaker, bragging that he used brains, not violence. John Gerard, the priest who outsmarted the Tower of London. Jesuit priest John Gerard is the only man ever to escape the Tower of London. Imprisoned during Queen Elizabeth I's persecution of Catholics, Gerard endured severe torture but refused to break. Using invisible ink made from orange juice, he secretly coordinated an escape plan with allies outside. One night, friends rode into the moat and tossed him a rope. Despite his hands being mutilated from torture, Gerard climbed down the wall and disappeared into the night. He eventually fled to Rome, where he lived the rest of his life safely, the tower's greatest failure. The Texas 7, America's most organized prison break. On December 13, 2000, 7 inmates at the John B. Connolly Unit staged one of the most coordinated prison breaks in U.S. history. They overpowered 16 staff members, stole their clothing, IDs, and credit cards, and disguised themselves as workers. While some inmates created distractions by phone, the others raided the guard tower, armed themselves, and stole a maintenance truck to drive out the front gate. Their escape triggered a nationwide manhunt. Though the group was later captured, their breakout remains one of the most daring ever executed. Empress Matilda, the medieval escape queen. In winter 1142, Empress Matilda was besieged in Oxford Castle during a civil war for the English throne. One snowy night, she wrapped herself in a white cloak to blend with the snow and silently slipped past enemy guards. According to legend, she crossed a frozen river using makeshift ice skates before reaching safety at Wallingford Castle. Her escape became one of the most dramatic royal breakouts in medieval history. Escape from Alcatraz, the mystery that still haunts the FBI. In 1962, inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin carried out the most famous breakout from America's most secure prison, Alcatraz. Using sharpened spoons, they slowly chipped away at the concrete behind their cells for 2 years. They built a raft out of raincoats, placed dummy heads in their beds, and escaped into the San Francisco Bay at night. Parts of their raft were later found, but never their bodies. To this day, the FBI officially lists them as missing, presumed drowned, though many believe they survived.
Ronnie Biggs, the train robber who vanished for 36 years. Ronnie Biggs, famous for the Great Train Robbery of 1963, escaped prison after only 19 months. He used a rope ladder to climb over a wall and jump onto a waiting van, fleeing to Paris, where he underwent plastic surgery. Biggs lived in Australia and Brazil for decades, giving interviews and profiting off his fame. He finally returned to the UK, voluntarily in 2001 due to poor health ending, one of the longest escapes in modern history. The Maze Prison Break. The IRA's Great Escape. In 1983, 38 prisoners from Northern Ireland's Maze Prison carried out the largest prison break in British history. After months of planning, IRA prisoners overpowered guards, took hostages, and hijacked a food delivery truck. They managed to open the prison's main gate and escape over fences despite alarms and resistance. This breakout embarrassed British security forces and remains one of the most significant mass escapes ever attempted. The Great Escape. WWWI's legendary tunnel operation. The most iconic prison escape ever is the Great Escape of 1944 from Germany's Stalag Luft III, a POW camp for Allied airmen. Led by squadron leader Roger Bushell, the prisoners built 3 massive tunnels named Tom, Dick, and Harry. Over 600 prisoners worked in secret, forging documents, crafting civilian clothing, and engineering ventilation systems. On March 24, 76 men crawled through the tunnel to freedom before the 77th man was spotted by guards. Although most escapees were recaptured, the operation became a symbol of courage, ingenuity, and defiance, immortalized in films and history.